to know in 6 minutes starts now.
This is a Fox News alert. The meeting leads to an agreement. I'm Dave Anthony.
Adversaries can indeed become friends.
President Trump, after meeting with the North Korean leader he once called Little Rocket Man.
세상은 아마 중대한 변화를 보게 될 것입니다.
The world will see a major change.
Kim Jong-un and the president signed a joint statement, then both left Singapore. Fox's John Decker, still there, joins us live.
After holding an historic summit with North Korean leader Kim Jong-un, President Trump said that the U.S. will end what he called the very provocative war games on the Korean Peninsula and announced that America is prepared to start a new history with Pyongyang.
You have a different president. You have a different Secretary of State. You have people that are, it's very important to them, and we get it done.
And Kim, for his part, reaffirmed his commitment to complete denuclearization in a joint statement both leaders signed.
This is complete denuclearization of North Korea, and it will be verified.
However, the agreement did not include a verification process to make certain that Kim is following through with his promises. Dave?
John, the president also said human rights abuses were discussed, saying this wouldn't have happened without Otto Warmbier, the U.S. hostage who died last year, days after North Korea set him free.
Otto is someone who did not die in vain. I told this to his parents.
Now, the president says the sanctions on North Korea will remain in place for now, but China is suggesting it's time to discuss lifting them, while Iran is warning North Korea that President Trump could nullify any deal they sign, like he did a month ago, pulling the U.S. out of Iran's international nuclear agreement. A standoff's over in Orlando, Florida, involving a man who shot and wounded a police officer, then held 4 kids hostage, 2 of his own, 2 were his girlfriend's children.
The children died from apparent gunshot wounds, and it appears the suspect took his life as well.
Orlando Police Chief John Mina. Fox News. Fair and balanced.
All money managers may seem pretty much the same. But while some money managers may recommend high-commission investment products, Fisher Investments avoids them. Some money managers may have hidden and layered fees. Fisher Investments never does. And while some money managers are happy to earn commissions from you, whether you do well or not, Fisher Investments fees are structured so we do better when you do better. In other words, we're structured to be on your side. Maybe that's why most of our clients come to us from other money managers. Talk with us and find out why so many experienced investors are switching to and staying with Fisher Investments. Fisher Investments, clearly better money management. Investments in securities involve the risk of loss. Visit us at FisherInvestments.com to find out what we can do for you.
A joint declaration signed by President Trump and North Korean leader Kim Jong-un says the U.S. has committed to providing security guarantees to the North in exchange for the denuclearization of the Korean Peninsula, but details are still scarce. Governor Murphy will place the first bet on a professional sporting event in New Jersey during an event at Monmouth Park. Murphy signed legislation allowing sports betting at racetracks and casinos on Monday. Following his surprise win in a South Jersey primary, Republican congressional candidate Seth Grossman is not backing down from statements he previously made, calling diversity a load of crap and un-American.
So although we come from diverse background, we become part of one nation. And I think the doctrine of diversity is designed to undermine that.
Grossman says he's met several people who were denied job opportunities because they, quote, didn't fit into some box of ethnicity. The owner of the Wonder Wiener hot dog stand in Beechwood remains hospitalized this morning. He was airlifted from the scene of a horrible accident. An SUV hit the shack trying to avoid another car while he was inside. I'm Eric Scott. This is the Town Square News Network.
After a cool start to the day, we'll be sunny, dry, and mild through this afternoon. High temperatures in the mid-70s, cooler at the shore in the upper 60s. A very nice spring-like day. Increasing clouds tonight with a chance for showers after midnight, lows in the lower 60s. Scattered showers and thunderstorms tomorrow. It'll be mostly cloudy, breezy, and humid, highs lower 80s. Franklin Mutual Insurance makes choosing home insurance easy. FMI delivers the most appropriate coverage for the way you live simple. Find an agent near you at FMIweb.com. Franklin Mutual Insurance for the way you live. I'm meteorologist Dan Zero.
From Harry Hurley Way in the world's playground to the broadcast pioneers of Philadelphia Hall of Fame.
I want to congratulate my friend, Harry Hurley.
You're about to find out why Harry Hurley has been named to the Talkers Magazine list of the 100 most important talk show hosts in the nation. Live from the studios of Town Square Media in Northfield, it's Hurley in the Morning on WPGG Talk Radio 104.1.
Hey, thanks very much. Thank you, Kirk Conover. Wonderful hour, always educational and beautiful. Kirk Conover has literally this moment just left the building. Ladies and gentlemen, Chuck Malamut is here. This is our weekly program that Chuck and I have been doing for the past 27 years. It all started on July 1st, many, many moons ago. We'll be starting another anniversary in just a couple of weeks. Chuck is the managing director. He leads his team, the Malamut Group, at Morgan Stanley's Northfield, New Jersey office. The number to reach Chuck for all of your financial planning needs, and you'll discover in one sitting Chuck's perfected concept of total asset management coupled with the all-important asset allocation so that you are properly taking care of your business. 609-383-2010, the number to reach Chuck, 609-383-2010. The program that you're about to listen to, sponsored by Chuck Malamut, a financial advisor at Morgan Stanley. The information, views, and opinions expressed on this broadcast are those of Chuck and do not necessarily reflect those of Morgan Stanley or its affiliates. They are current as of the date of this broadcast and are subject to change without notice. Neither the information provided nor any opinion expressed herein constitutes a solicitation for the purchase or sale of any security. This presentation is for informational purposes only. Morgan Stanley, Smith Barney, member, SIPC. Chuck Malamut, welcome to your program. How are you?
Good morning, Harry. How are you today?
Oh, outstanding. We got double duty today. It's a big day.
I hope you're well rested. I know you will be ready to go, and I'm going to say congrats in advance. How's that sound?
Thank you, Chuck. Thanks for your confidence. You know me a long time, so you know that I'll do my best. What's our market update?
So, Harry, last week, believe it or not, was relatively quiet for most of the equity markets in terms of any major news. Now, certainly not, a little bit different than this week, that's for sure. Investors for the most part were focused on, all the events that are coming this week, which included the summit with North Korea. The Fed, believe it or not, they have a meeting. It's been very, very quiet. I don't think anyone has really paid much attention to what the Fed is doing. And a big decision this afternoon after the close with respect to the potential AT&T Time Warner merger. So in spite of, everything that went on last week, the market did a really good job in shrugging off all the ongoing risks with respect to the possible trade war. I mean, there was a lot of discussion over the weekend about G7, our president doing the right thing, not doing the right thing, whatever it may be, and then, jetting off to Singapore. But having said all that, the trade war still possibly exists between us and China. Stock prices last week, Harry, were up more than 1%. The only sector that was negative happened to be utilities, and that's probably more interest rate driven than anything else.
Very interesting. The real U.S. GDP is actually on the rise, isn't it, Chuck?
Well, Harry, when I was getting ready for our discussion today, I know that we spoke briefly at the end of our talk last week about GDP or real GDP. And, there's some estimates out there now that's saying we could be at 4% by the time we close out the second quarter. The New York Fed is looking at a 3.3% GDP. And the Atlanta Fed, which you identified last week, is targeting a significantly higher rate of growth of 4.8%. So it looks like growth is rebounding for a number of reasons. Rising consumer spending levels, building of inventory, and even though I find it hard to believe because of the weather that we've been having here, for the most part, we've had some pretty good weather throughout most of the country over the second quarter.
Very, very interesting. Chuck Malamut is here. I'm going to take that as good news because GDP obviously is very important, and it really is. If you're taking a quick glance at a few things, you might look at unemployment. I think it's very exciting, and we'll perhaps, even if it's not on today's list, I'll make a quick comment about it. It's pretty interesting, Chuck, and we couldn't say this not that long ago, that there's 6.7 million available jobs right now in our country, and there are only 6.4 million unemployed. We have more jobs than we have people needing jobs. That's healthy.
You know, Harry, that when you think about it, you know, that's nothing really short of amazing as far as what has been accomplished over the last several years. 7 out of 8 small businesses, roughly 88% of small businesses in this country, a month ago reported that they're having difficulties, you know, finding qualified candidates for job openings. So you think about the pressure that puts on, you know, on employers. One of the concerns that we've had for quite some time is what's going to happen with wage growth. You know, as you mentioned, there were more job openings in the U.S. recently than there were jobless workers to fill them.
Chuck, if you're moving at the moment, I know that we're on a mobile connection. We're losing you a little bit, but we're to the first break, and so we're going to reestablish our connection with Chuck when we come back. I know Chuck mentioned the Fed and interest rates. I do want to, as a standalone question, give Chuck the opportunity to update us on that. New record is in store for the S&P. We'll see what Chuck says. Is that the case? Equities, we'll talk about that. We'll talk about the U.S. stock sectors. We'll talk about, we did mention job openings versus jobless workers, strength of the banks, more on Social Security because this is a huge issue, China's economy and where they stand at the moment, and much more. Chuck Malamut continues all about your financial matters. 609-383-2010. That's the number to reach Chuck for all of your financial planning needs. 609-383-2010. Chuck is going to leave us this morning right at 8:45 because we have an 8 o'clock hour of champions this morning. Chuck Malamut for most of the hour, and for the last 10 minutes, 8:50 until 9 o'clock this morning, Shannon Miller, my favorite gymnast of all time and the most decorated Olympic gymnast in American history with 7 Olympic medals. Shannon Miller will be with us for the last 10 minutes of this hour right after the Chuck Malamut program. All about your financial matters. We'll be back in just a few minutes. Stay with us.
At Ocean First Bank, our first thought is you. We put you first in all we do. Community banking for a century. We treat you like your family. Whatever you need, whatever you dream, let's make it a reality. Ocean First Bank, putting you first.
When your dream is building a new home, we offer mortgage options designed with your convenience in mind, like combining your construction and permanent loan into just one closing, saving you time for the really fun stuff, like planning that housewarming party.
Whatever you need, whatever you dream, let's make it a reality. Ocean First Bank, putting you first.
Member FDIC, Equal Housing Opportunity Lender.
Paul D'Amato.
Harry Hurley.
Paul, I know our listeners want to know what's new with the D'Amato Law Firm.
Things are great, Harry. We are so privileged to represent our clients whose lives have been turned upside down because they were involved in a serious accident. We meet on a regular basis. We copy our clients on all our correspondence so they always know what's going on with their case. We try to treat them like family. We have Alexa here, my daughter. I'm so happy that she's here. We have Steve Van Natten and Casey Gifford. We're a great legal team.
They're the D'Amato Law Firm for all of your personal injury legal needs. Turn to the official lead counsel to the Hurley in the Morning program for more than a quarter of a century. The D'Amato Law Firm in Egg Harbor Township, 609-926-3300. That's 609-926-3300. Tell Paul, Alexa, Sandy, the entire team that Hurley in the Morning sent you.
If you're drowning in IRS debt and can't afford to pay, then you need to take advantage of special IRS tax programs that are available and free yourself from IRS collection efforts once and for all. Due to the financial hardship consumers are facing throughout the country, the Internal Revenue Service has made it easier to settle delinquent tax problems. An open phone line has been established by Community Tax for consumers to call and see if they qualify. Take down this number or store it in your cell phone, but call the Community Tax Helpline at 800-624-5928. If you owe back taxes to the IRS and cannot afford to pay them back, or even if you have years of unfiled tax returns, there's no need to fear anymore. But you have to call the Community Tax Helpline today at 800-624-5928 for the help that you need. Don't take on the IRS alone. They can attack your wages, savings, pension, home, and even your Social Security check. Call 800-624-5928 for your free consultation and to see if you qualify. That's 800-624-5928.
Your next chances to win up to $5,000 are coming up at 12:30 and 5:30 this afternoon.
We just won $5,000.
Thank you. Win Harry Hurley's money, powered by Franklin Bank, with WPG Talk Radio 104.1.
And this portion of Hurley in the Morning also brought to us in part by Dr. Alan Chenman, the official exclusive dentist for the Hurley in the Morning program. Such a talented cosmetic and restorative dentist. Dr. Alan Chenman practices the full scope of general, cosmetic, and implant dentistry. His expertise is vast. It ranges from porcelain veneers to dental implants, crowns, and bridges, along with inlays and onlays, just to name a few. Also, if you ever want that, like Hollywood, if you will, bright white smile, Dr. Chenman has a teeth bleaching system, which actually involves you getting fitted for like an oral device trays, if you will, or actually like a mouth custom fit guard, and it's all a part of the process. It's all included in the price. In fact, we will be having one of those generously. It's about a $400 retail value in our silent auction this Friday. I know Chuck is going to stop by. He's never missed one at the Harbor Pines Golf Club. We will go on air at 6 o'clock. The shotgun start will be at 9. And then the event will be going on for the time that they'll be playing, usually about 4.5 hours thereabouts. We try to make it happen so that they get back in by 1:30-ish, 1:30 usually, and then can have a nice lunch, take part in the silent auction, and then get everybody out early by like 3-ish, 3:30, something like that. We try to keep the event really moving. But Dr. Chenman always puts one of his teeth bleaching systems in the silent auction, and it's coveted. Dr. Chenman can correct the wide variety of the permanent cosmetic dental problems. He can literally redesign your smile. As always, don't take my word for it. Go to his website, smilecenternj.com. Click on the photo gallery, and you will see before and after cases. The results are just incredible transformations. Dr. Chenman is conveniently located, 1999 New Road, Suite D in Linwood. The first step towards a beautiful, healthy smile is to make your appointment. Call Dr. Chenman today, 609-601-2199. That's 609-601-2199. Let me give you a quick little scorecard of what's going to be happening between 12 noon to 3 p.m. today. The 12 noon hour, and I'll give you a little head start. I have a few-minute opening monologue. There's a few things that I would like to say. And, of course, thank Todd Starnes for the highest honor you can bestow upon another broadcaster is asking them, trusting them to do your program. And last Friday in New York, I had the opportunity in person to shake Todd's hand and to thank him for the trust. And he was really very gracious about it all. So we have a few things we want to say to open. Then we're going to take phone calls. And then we have some really great guests that will be coming by at 1:05. We'll have Fox News regular contributor Brad Blakeman. We're going to be talking, obviously, about this incredible past several hours. I mean, just historic in nature. Trump and and the whole bit. We'll be talking about that. Michael Harrison, the founder and publisher of Talkers Magazine, at 1:35. That's my homage, my tip of the cap to just a giant in our industry who has been, I mean, from Rush Limbaugh to a small market broadcaster like me. Michael Harrison has been so instrumental in every talk radio broadcaster's career in America. It's just a fact. Seth Grossman is going to join us. He's embroiled in a controversy, and Seth is not shy about that kind of thing. But suddenly, isn't it great? Because you know what's happening. The liberal media just going hog wild, combing the internet, combing every cavern of the world. And so they've unearthed the video of Seth talking about diversity and not in a flattering way. So he's getting put through the meat grinder. He will be on at 2:05 on the Todd Starnes Show that we'll be guest hosting. And at 2:35, New Jersey Senator Jeff Andrews. So we will have the first interview with both of them, one after the other, anywhere in this market, and that shouldn't be a surprise or anywhere else. So we're looking forward to that, and then calls in between all that. It's going to be a fast-moving 3 hours, as you can expect. Chuck Malamut continues. It's all about your financial matters with Chuck Malamut, the official financial advisor for the Hurley in the Morning program for 27-plus years. Chuck, you mentioned the Fed. You mentioned interest rates. Is there anything about that you would like to share standalone?
Well, Harry, I think that it's pretty eminent that we're going to have the second rate hike this year. And you think about what's changed since the last Fed meeting or the last statement that they made. Growth looks to be a lot healthier. We've had increased consumer spending in the wake of tax reform. And even though we did have a soft quarter, in the first quarter we kind of talked about as we got through Q1, we're still pretty much of the belief we're going to get to that 4% as we get through the second quarter. Labor market, as we kind of talked about, is tighter. The spread between job openings and the number of unemployed persons is the widest we've seen in history. And the unemployment rate has fallen to a multi-decade low. I think the last time we saw this sort of number was back in the 1960s, if I recall. And, one of the concerns always has been about CPI and where we are with respect to inflation, and that looks to be firm. So all this said, it looks as if, we're going to have a rate increase. We're going to have maybe one or two more before we get to the end of 2018, but as you get into 2019 and beyond, it's a little murkier as far as what's going to be happening. How much support is the Fed actually getting? With respect to the full market buy-in, as it's referred to. But we could be a little cautious in our estimates, which is fine. So I think we need to really pay close attention, not so much, Harry, to what the result is, which we are almost certain is that 25 basis point move, but really the statement. Where are they going to be with, potentially tighter monetary policies ahead?
Chuck, with yesterday's news baked in at the end of the day, the S&P 500 was up just about 2.97 to be exact, to 2782. Are we in store for a new S&P record?
Well, Harry, here's what's really interesting. We hit that all-time closing high September the 26th of this year. And believe it or not, that was 90-plus trading days ago. And that's the longest stretch that we've had without a new closing high for the index since it went actually 286 days, trading days, with no record closes. And that was between May of 2015 and July of 2016. So having said all that, I think what we have to look at is that, the market has been moving somewhat unevenly since the early April. You think about the 10% correction we put in the February of this past year, or this current year, I should say. We had that 10% sell-off. The S&P right now is close to its, to its high of 2,875. We're approaching that. But again, we've had, I think the summit that you and Kirk talked about last hour, I think that should be viewed as an overwhelming success, although I think certain parts of the media are going to say otherwise. But in all likelihood, with the decision today with the AT&T and Time Warner merger, if it is approved, then what would happen is that'll create more positive merger and acquisition activity as we get through the rest of this year. Even though the White House does talk pretty tough on trade, negotiations are still ongoing, and trade tensions could start to ease. So having said all that, corporate earnings, I think, are the driver, Harry, in the room here. They still remain pretty solid. The current estimate, consensus earnings estimate on the S&P 500 is about $158, and actually increases to $175 in 2019. So we think at this level, stock prices look to be pretty reasonable. And as long as earnings hold up, we think stock prices will be able to move higher.
Chuck, before the bottom of the hour break, we have time for one more topic and then many more in our final segment with Chuck. And then right after Chuck's program this morning, the most decorated gymnast in American history, Shannon Miller, in a Hurley in the Morning exclusive. We have visited with Shannon a couple of times over the past 20-plus years, and she's an elegant, lovely person. And she has beaten cancer. That went back to, I think 2011. I'll have it all straight by the time Shannon gets here. And she had a very rare and aggressive type cancer. She beat it, and she's doing a lot of really good work. We're going to be talking with Shannon coming up after Chuck. Shannon Miller on Hurley in the Morning. Dr. Bob in the fourth quarter, Atlantic Prevention Resources program titled Under the Influence. Chuck, time to talk about equities. What can you say?
Well, Harry, as we kind of talked about, it looks like they could be breaking out of their trading range, and the question is, if the earnings are there, then that will in fact, we think that will in fact happen. I mean, our chief strategist Mike Wilson, best case calls for an S&P at 3,000. And, his mini target, I'll call it right now, we're kind of at that number and through that number. So, I'm thinking that as we get through the rest of this quarter and quarters 3 and 4, I think equity investors should be rewarded for being invested.
We'll take our break now. We'll come back. One more power segment straight ahead. We're at about 28 minutes past the hour. You're listening to Chuck Malamut, the managing director of his team, the Malamut Group at Morgan Stanley's Northfield, New Jersey office. The number to reach Chuck for all of your financial planning needs, 609-383-2010. 609-383-2010. When you call him, tell him how much you like listening to his program every single week, and it inspired you to call him. 609-383-2010. We'll be back in just a few minutes.
Win Harry Hurley's money up to $5,000 3 times every weekday with WPG Talk Radio 104.1, powered by Franklin Bank. For complete contest rules, visit WPGTalkRadio.com.
At Seacrest Village, they understand that families need a break from the daily responsibilities of taking care of a loved one. Whether you're going on vacation, want to take care of personal business, or just need some quality time with your family, Seacrest Village has the facilities to assist you. In addition to featuring a knowledgeable and caring staff, they have long been the leader in delivering quality, long-term subacute and memory care. So rest assured, you know your family member is in compassionate and skilled hands. It's all part of making your loved one as safe and comfortable as possible. And respite residents receive the same services available to their full-time residents. Seacrest Village in Little Lake Harbor Township. Call for special rates and more information about respite care at 609-296-9292. That's 609-296-9292. Or visit SeacrestVillageNJ.com. It's worth a visit and closer than you think.
Do you want to work for WPG Talk Radio 104.1? Do you have a passion for radio and event planning? Want to be part of all the fun? WPG's highly visible, fast-paced promotions department is a part of every exciting event in South Jersey. Do you think you have what it takes to be a rockstar promotions assistant? Visit WPGTalkRadio.com to submit your resume today. That's WPGTalkRadio.com. Town Square Media is an equal opportunity employer.
At CarMax, we'll buy your car, even if you don't buy ours. That's like your spouse saying, I got you something for our anniversary, but you don't have to get me anything, and actually meaning it. Or someone saying, oh no, you don't have to clean up. I cooked the dinner, so I'll do the dishes. It's like quid pro nothing. No quo. We'll buy your car, any of them, heck, all of them, with no obligation for you to buy a car in return. No, thank you. CarMax, drive what's possible.
Whoa, long time no see. It's me, the Rock t-shirt in the back of your closet. Dude, remember? You crowd surfed in me, man. But you haven't worn me in like forever. I get it, you're retired, but I still got some rock left in me. So take me to Goodwill, where I can really make a difference.
Your donations to Goodwill create jobs, training programs, and education assistance for people in your community. To find your nearest donation center, go to goodwill.org. Donate stuff. Create jobs. A message from Goodwill and the Ad Council.
Step 1. You signed a lease for new office space. Step 2. You notified your clients and updated your letterhead. Step 3. What is Step 3? Oh, right. Now you have to move everything. Relax. Staples has you covered with moving boxes, packing tape, bubble roll, everything you need. All at great low prices. And now at Staples, select moving boxes are only $1. Staples. Come in store today and get your moving supplies in one easy step.
N62318. In-store only. Good on SKU 742294 and 834945.
Hi, it's Brian Kilmeade. Join me next at 10, then Sean Hannity at 3. Now back to Harry Hurley on WPG Talk Radio, 104.1, South Jersey's talk station.
31 minutes past the hour with Chuck Malamut, the official financial advisor for the Hurley in the Morning program. For all of your financial planning needs, turn to Chuck. Exclusively turn to Chuck. You'll be happy you did so. 609-383-2010, 609-383-2010. What's going on with our stocks, the stock sectors? Is there a reshuffling of the deck chairs? What's happening?
Yes, Harry. I think that your listeners will find this pretty interesting. You know, oftentimes we talk about individual sectors within the S&P 500. You know, whether they're financial, energy, consumer discretionary, healthcare, telecom and consumer staples. Now, what is going to be happening as we approach the end of September? There'll be a realignment that will be taking place, resulting in some of the largest stocks that are held out in the U.S. being put into different new market categories. Facebook and Alphabet or Google are going to leave the information technology sector and join the communication services grouping. Also joining that sector are Disney, Comcast, and Netflix, which are be leaving the consumer discretionary category. So there'll be a lot of movement, into one sector, and there'll be a lot of movement out of two sectors. And typically, Harry, when that happens, and this is slated to go and take place September 28th. Don't be at all surprised if you don't see significant trading activity as these sector-based funds that we oftentimes rely on move their shares out of one company or companies into these other companies. So we haven't really talked about volatility, but I think one of the things that your listeners maybe need to be made aware of, if in fact if they own individual sectors within the S&P 500, they need to be made aware of this change that will be happening.
Why does this occur? Why does this take place? Because nothing stays the same, or?
Well, let's talk about the Dow. If you look at the stocks that initially started the Dow 30 many years ago, they're pretty much all non-existent. Oftentimes, every several years, stocks come off and stocks come on based upon the business model, the revenue, the growth, who it impacts, what industries and what particular individuals or retail investors or institutional investors. So if you think about it, Disney and Comcast and Netflix, are they really consumer discretionary stocks at the end of the day? Or are they really communication services? I'm thinking more of the latter than the former. And, they've also often talked about, Facebook and Google or Alphabet, being tech stocks. But think about, what they are involved in on a day-to-day basis. So I think this is quite logical. When you think about, when Google or Alphabet and Facebook started, their business models have changed as well. So, just sort of a point of interest that I thought your listeners would, one, be made aware of, especially if they own any of those individual sectors, because a lot of people do own technology.
Chuck, in my irrational exuberance, I spoiled the next question because I couldn't wait to bring it up because I think it's extraordinary, and I don't know the last time, if ever, in American history that this has been the case, that there's been more job openings versus jobless workers. That has to be – there's no way to – I know that the speaker tried, but there's really no way to make that anything other than really good news.
Well, Harry, it is what it is. I mean, if you are looking for work, you can certainly get employed. You might not be receiving the job that you're when you initially apply for what you're looking for, but you certainly can get work, and you can get multiple jobs. And then you think about where we were less than a decade ago. The foreclosures. I mean, I don't need to repeat the Great Recession, and we all participated in it, but the fact of the matter is that I think things are pretty good here in this country right now.
I would say 3.8%. That's almost breaks the model for how low you could go.
And it's really, I think, better than the 3.8 is the fact that wage inflation remains pretty muted at this point in time, Harry. The average hourly earnings are increasing by roughly 2.7%. That's what it was in the month of May. So you think about it, you got that much pressure on the job market. You would think that wages would be astronomically high. That's not the case because the whole conclusion. Rising wages, flattened yield curve, inverted yield curve. That ugly word with a capital R sets in. But I don't think we're there. I don't think we're there at all, Harry.
Your mouth to God's ears, because that's not what we want at all. And it's nice to hear your optimism in that respect. Strength of our banks, Chuck. What is the strength of the United States banking system right now?
Well, Harry, think about where we were, several years ago, with people, bank depositors very, very concerned, making certain that everything they own was fully insured by the FDIC, and they were well, under the limit, so to speak. And then we oftentimes heard about the number of failures, and it was pretty much on a weekly basis, and it went on for the better part of several years. Yeah. So what has happened during the first 5 months of this year? No U.S. banks failed, and it's been the first time since that has occurred since 2006. So what are we, 12 plus years? There were, in 2006, there were no bank failures, and that was the last calendar year that in fact happened. So since 2007, 531 banks have failed, where that's an average roughly of 48 per year over the last 11 years. So the fact is that, everything that's happened, with the economy and the strength of the economy and the strength of the banks now, and obviously the regs are different than they were, a decade ago. There's been no failures this year. And that's another good sign.
Chuck, what I love about this is it didn't seem like all that long ago where the media would obsess this bank is, going through the test, and then it's the run up to will they pass the test, and then coverage about whether they didn't or did pass the test. Now, I don't want to use the word routine in a cavalier sense, but now it's sort of back to a normal, sane, if you will, not this hyper spotlight shined on it. It's just generally accepted, almost like the generally accepted principles of accounting, that the banks are strong. They still have to meet tests and tackle them and achieve and pass them. But there's no focus on that anymore because it's not news when you do good. It's only news if it's in doubt, hanging in the balance, and then if somebody doesn't pass, that you get to report on the bad news. So I think the best news is no news here.
Harry, that's absolutely correct. And the fact that investors are, looking for yield. And the one thing to remember that when the Fed does increase rates, the first thing that happens is that prime, and that's a lending standard, for a lot of home equity loans, that goes up immediately. What lags are basically, CD rates. But it does, once, they get into the system, the fact is now you can go out and put your money to work very, very short term. And I was looking yesterday, and actually, Harry, I think it was a 3-year certificate of deposit at 3%. A 2-year at maybe 2.5%. Don't quote me on that, please. I don't have the information in front of me. But investors are now being rewarded for having their money on deposit. And it's been a long time.
That's excellent. That will inspire more people to do the same and not be afraid to tie it up because the yield is something that they are willing to tie that amount of money up for that length of time because of the yield that's offered.
Correct.
Chuck, you've done a really good job on your program in a lot of areas, but let me highlight. And we have time for 2 more questions. We've got about 3 minutes or so left in your program for this week, Chuck. You've done a really good job keeping your listeners informed about Social Security and what's happening in general. What else would you like to share about Social Security?
Well, Harry, the ongoing, dilemma that someone that is ready to collect Social Security is, do they take it at age 62 or, early retirement, we'll call it, or do they wait until their actual retirement age, age 66 and change, age 67, whatever it may be. So right now, roughly 20% of all retirees that are currently receiving their monthly Social Security benefits did not begin to take their monthly benefit until they were at least age 66. 45% of retirees, did in fact take it at age 62. One of the things that we talked about and will continue to talk about, so your listeners are well aware, is the fact that if you can delay taking Social Security at that what is referred to as a full retirement age versus age 62, your benefits will grow by roughly 8% per year. Harry, I think it'd be foolish of me and foolish of you to go out and say, hey, we'll guarantee you an 8% growth within your investment accounts over the next 3, 4, 5 years. But again, it all goes back, Harry, to make certain that, whether your listeners or our clients are fully prepared for retirement. Because the bottom line is if you did the planning effectively, you should hopefully have other resources available to you when it's time to retire, and you can, in fact, leave your Social Security benefits, sort of as is, and not draw down on those until, full retirement age. We have some clients that actually wait to age 70, but then it's a matter of, if we can certainly understand everyone's life expectancy, this would be a real simple calculation.
I found interesting the number that you shared, the percentage that take retirement partial, because it's only partial at that point at age 62, because you take a big hit if you take it at that age.
Well, yeah, so 45% take it at age 62, but you think about, everybody has, their circumstances are different, but, if you haven't planned effectively for your retirement and you retire, you need the money potentially. So you're kind of forced into taking that distribution.
Yeah, it's a good point. Some people just take it because they can. Some people take it because they have to, and they wish they didn't have to, but they have no choice, and that pads that into the 40-some percentile. Chuck, we have about 1 minute. We know from your great update this morning how we're doing, the American economy, and I could even throw in the Atlanta Fed. They think 4.7% GDP. They seem to be higher. I don't know what their methodology is, but they seem to be higher than other things that we hear. You mentioned, beyond 3 to 4-ish and that kind of thing. China's economy is also growing, isn't it?
Harry, I think, we've always talked about China, and obviously our president has done so as well, and the imbalances that are out there. But I think your listeners would be shocked when they really understood that China's economy has grown tenfold since 2001. They were 1.3 trillion in U.S. dollars back in 2001. Currently, Harry, 13 trillion.
Wow.
Now, do you know of any other country that has been able to grow their economy like China?
No, but they do have competitive advantages because they pay poorly and they don't have the human rights. So it's not shocking to me that in a great global climate, a nation like China, for the reasons I mentioned and some we don't have time to talk about, they better be doing good. I mean, look at the difference between compensation, benefits, fringe benefits, all that. So they have a real competitive advantage, Chuck.
Well, they do, Harry, but I think if you ask most of your listeners, chances are they wouldn't believe that their economy, grew, exponentially.
It's incredible. Chuck, I got to jump in because guess what? I'm going to be late for my guest if I don't go right now. 609-383-2010, the number to reach Chuck Malamut. Until next week, Chuck, have a great day.
You too, Harry. Good luck today, and I'll see you on Friday.
Thank you, Chuck. Look forward to it. Until then.
Bye-bye.
Health Update brought to you by the law offices of Richard A. Stoloff, New Jersey and Pennsylvania.
Do you love chips? Are you always reaching for the salt shaker? The CDC recommends that we have no more than 2,300 milligrams of sodium or roughly 1 teaspoon of salt per day. And those with certain medical conditions should really keep it under 1,500 milligrams. But the average American consumes about double that every day, and that can raise blood pressure and contribute to major health problems. In fact, about 1 in every 3 adults has high blood pressure in our country. To cut down on salt, eat fresh instead of processed. Read the label on everything. And know that even sweet foods can contain salt. Beware of reduced sodium products, which usually only cut salt by about 25%, and try fresh herbs and spices instead of salt. I'm Robin Stoloff for Health Update.
Brought to you by the law offices of Richard A. Stoloff, StoloffInjuryLaw.com. Attention you expect, results you deserve.
We could have named our tavern a really fun place with great food and the best country music in town that everyone from ages 1 to 101 will enjoy. But we settled on the Golden Nugget. It's way catchier. The Golden Nugget, family-friendly, fast service, best wings in town, and great country music every week. Plus, everything here is at a reasonable price and tons of free parking. Check out GoldenNuggetTavern.net on Berlin New Freedom Road and call us at 856-767-9872. The Golden Nugget. Everybody goes to the Nugget.
Save more with Liberty Mutual Insurance.
Hey, Todd, Liberty Mutual just saved me $782.
Liberty did what?
Yeah, it's a lot of money.
Maybe I should switch to Liberty Mutual.
Visit us online to... Hey, stop echoing.
Sorry.
Visit us online to get a quote, and you could save $782. Liberty Mutual Insurance. Based on a recent countrywide new customer survey, coverage is underwritten by Liberty Mutual Insurance Company, Equal Housing Insurer.
You wouldn't put a square peg in a round hole, so why would you deploy a traditional firewall in a modern decentralized network? Firewalls have new requirements for businesses leveraging SaaS-based applications and public cloud platforms like AWS, Azure, and Google Cloud. We're in the cloud generation now, so your firewalls have to be engineered to fit right in. Reclaim your cloud network. Try a Barracuda Cloud Generation Network or application firewall free at barracuda.com/firewalls.
Rossi Honda kicks off the summer with hot prices. You can lease an all-new 2018 HR-V LX all-wheel drive for only $149 a month for 36 months. And don't forget, your oil changes are on us up to 5 years or 60,000 miles. For the best cars and SUVs at the best prices, come to Rossi on Dulcie Drive in Vineland. At Rossi Honda, we treat you better, period, for less.
$29.95 down. Tax tags, dock fees extra. 36-month lease, 12,000 miles per year to qualified buyers. See dealer for details. WPG Talk Radio 104.1 has teamed up with Rossi Honda on South Dulcie Drive in Vineland to bring you the Teen Safe Driving Program. As parents, we need to instruct our teens how to handle emergencies, remind them not to text while driving, and never drink and drive. Bring your teen's car into Rossi Honda for a free safety check, no matter what the type or where they bought it. Or have them come in for a free safety class where they'll learn how to change a flat tire, what to do about a dead battery, or what to do when they run out of gas. Call Rossi Honda for an appointment.
Hey, wake up with Harry Hurley and drive home with me, Sean Hannity, 3 to 6. It's all happening here on WPG Talk Radio 104.1.
All right, if you're being true to yourself, you can only have one favorite, and my favorite gymnast has always been Shannon Miller. There's a reason for that. I like people who win, but also I like people who carry themselves in an elegant way, a classy way, and Shannon has always done that. You never hear bad things. You only hear about her doing good things and giving back. And what I think is interesting, not only we're talking about the most decorated Olympic gymnast in American history, but also she has shown us another side that I'm sure in every respect, except one maybe, because the character that's developed when you go through a challenge, it's something you would never want to go through, and that is dealing with cancer. And June is National Cancer Survivors Month, and Shannon Miller is a cancer survivor, and she dealt with a rare and aggressive form the same way as she did her championship career. And I want to begin with that after welcoming Shannon to the program. Shannon, it's Harry. Welcome back. How are you?
I'm great. Thank you for having me.
It is a pleasure, and congratulations on all your success. And I want to say that also how you handled adversity. It's one thing handling adversity, whether you win gold or you won silver and you wanted gold, and boo-hoo, you didn't get the gold. But you've now dealt with life and death. And I'm wondering, and it's probably not the type of thing that some people would think of, but you've had to deal with it, and that is the fact that there is, in my estimation, an unlikely comparison, perhaps, and you'll tell us if I'm onto something, between the intense training and fighting to win Olympic gold as there is in terms of fighting to beat cancer so that you survive. Did your professional training and stick-to-itiveness and intensity as a elite world-class champion help you battle cancer?
It really did in so many ways, but I think all of those lessons I learned through sport and through competition, goal setting, teamwork, perseverance, all of those great life lessons really helped me in my fight against cancer. The goals changed. I could remember during chemotherapy getting up, and if I could get dressed and walk twice around our dining room table, that was my win. Now, it was a far cry from that gold medal champion up on there, that platform at the Olympic Games, but that was my win, and that was my goal for the day. And so I think it's just rethinking those goals and understanding a different type of team. It was no longer the gymnastics team or the coaching staff, but it was a lot more medical staff on my cancer team, but it was also friends and family, people that came over to help out, whether it was making dinner or helping take care of our son who was 14 months old at the time. My family, my husband. It does take a team. I always say, fighting cancer, it's a team sport. Everyone has to be involved.
You're listening to Shannon Miller, and Shannon, you have a really great, it's an inspirational memoir. It's not about perfect, competing for my country, fighting for my life. It's really, to our listeners, if it's not in your library, pick it up. It's easy to get. I got it in 2 days with the Amazon Prime. You can get it, and you really should read this book because it's an inspirational memoir, and you did a great job with it, Shannon. And in 2011, your life changed. I want to say forever, but you've beaten it, so hopefully it changed, though. You are diagnosed with this rare form of ovarian cancer. How did you process, how did you handle that news?
Well, I'll admit it was extremely difficult, especially at first. Now, I was someone who called up my doctor to cancel my exam and put it off till the next year. That happened in late 2010. And I was put on hold right away, and I felt all of this guilt. Here I was, an advocate for women's health, and I was about to cancel my exam, the very thing that I told other women not to do. And so when she came back on the line, I took the first available. And it was that morning that they found the mass on my left ovary, and that kind of snowballed into this whirlwind of tests and scans. And for those that are listening, there is no test for ovarian cancer. So it was after surgery that I found out that it was indeed ovarian cancer. And I think I count that first phase of not knowing as one of the most difficult because I couldn't do anything. I'm kind of action-oriented. I want a goal. I want to go after it. I want to fight for something. And I didn't know what I was fighting. And then after the surgery, when I found out it was cancer, well, we had a plan of action that allowed me to be a little bit more proactive and to then kind of rely on that competitiveness that I had gained through gymnastics. And I think for me, it was just the acknowledgement of, okay, this is what we're dealing with. Now, how do I fight it? Because I'm going to give it everything I have. Every single day I'm going to get up and I'm going to fight.
Shannon, that was the greatest decision you probably have ever made in your life. Had you procrastinated and simply just put off until later on, we might not be talking right now.
It's true. And it's the unfortunate fact about ovarian cancer is that so many women are diagnosed at a later stage because it is a difficult cancer to diagnose. There isn't a specific test, and often the signs and symptoms of ovarian cancer are overlooked because they're things that I overlooked, like bloating, stomach pains, sudden weight loss or weight gain. Those are things that women deal with on a regular basis, and we push through, and we're tough, and we keep going, and we brush them off as not that important. And what I learned and what I want to empower other women and educate other women on is just the fact that we are our own best health advocates. We know our bodies the best, so listen to our bodies, and if something doesn't feel right, speak up.
Shannon Miller also heads up her own company, Shannon Miller Enterprises, with Shannon Miller Lifestyle, Health, and Fitness for Women. What do you say, what do you do in terms of being involved in raising awareness for ovarian cancer?
Well, one of the things we do that I love the most is we partner with others to make sure that we're getting as much awareness and education out there. I would love to think that I could cure cancer, but I don't have that skill set. But what I can do is use my voice to share with others. That's why I'm so proud to partner, to join with Tesaro and share my story, but also spread the word about the Our Way Forward program. And this is a tremendous program that's available for cancer patients, their families, caregivers, and healthcare providers that allows us to change the conversation, change the way we talk about ovarian cancer. It's not just about the physical toll that it takes, but also about the emotional toll that it takes on patients and their families.
Let me share a couple other things that I didn't say in my opening and my introduction of Shannon Miller. Not only the most decorated gymnast in American history, but also the only female athlete to be inducted into the U.S. Olympic Hall of Fame twice as an individual in 2006 and the amazing team that Shannon was a part of in 2008. Shannon, I know you'll agree with this. That was a very special team.
It was a very special team, and I can't believe it's been almost 22 years now at this point, which is a little scary, but we had such a special bond, and to be able to compete and win a team gold medal for the first time in history right there on American soil, it was just such an incredible time.
Let's wrap two questions into the final minute and a half that we have, because my schedule is right with your schedule. We both have to say goodbye in about a minute and a half, and you have a lot more to do this morning. So do I. But based on your experience, what advice do you have for women who are living with ovarian cancer, because you certainly are qualified to do that, and share some of the resources for women that are available for them?
I would say keep fighting. We just have to keep fighting, and we don't always know what the end is going to be, but we have to each day get up and take that forward step and utilize the resources that we have around us. And I would point them toward ourwayforward-oc.com, and that is the Our Way Forward website where they can get discussion guides, patient and caregiver stories, which are so critical, not just for the education, but for the understanding that you are not alone in this. Right now, there are 250,000 women living with ovarian cancer in the United States, and 22,000 women in the U.S. will be diagnosed each year. So this is a big issue, and this is an incredible resource to have available.
We've been visiting with a great mom, gold medalist, health advocate, cancer survivor, and she has taken this whole journey and published her own inspirational memoir, It's Not About Perfect, Competing for My Country, Fighting for My Life, Shannon Miller. Honor to present you, and thanks for the work that you're doing, helping people, helping to save lives.
Thank you so much.
Take care.
Thank you.
You got it. Shannon Miller has left the building, and when we come back, Dr. Bob Zlotnick has entered the building. He's in the palatial studios of Hurley in the Morning, the president and the chief executive officer of Atlantic Prevention Resources. His titled program is Under the Influence. We'll be back.
WPGG Atlantic City, WENJ 97.3 HD3 Millville. Everything you need to know in 6 minutes starts now.
This is a Fox News alert. President Trump calls it an honest, direct, and productive meeting. I'm Dave Anthony.
There is no limit to what North Korea can achieve when it gives up its nuclear weapons.
The president, after a first-ever meeting with North Korea's leaders, saying he believes Kim Jong-un wants real change.
I know when somebody wants to deal, and I know when somebody doesn't. A lot of politicians don't. That's not their thing.
Both leaders have since left Singapore, where Fox's John Decker is live.
In a document